doing today? Today we got a little repair video for you. Got this Echo GT-225 weed eater. Won't run. It will if I loosen the carb and hit it with a little carb or starting fluid along the edge of the block. So something in the carburetor is not allowing it to get fuel. So what I did is I just got on eBay and I ordered this cheap little kit. I was going to get a rebuild kit for the one that's on it. Honestly though, I found these aftermarket carburetor kits on eBay. They're like 12 bucks. You get the whole carburetor. In this kit I got 2 extra primer bulbs, spark plug, the carburetor gaskets themselves, new fuel line, vent, filter, and grommet for the fuel tank, as well as an air filter. I needed an air filter anyway. So for 12 bucks I got all that. So it is what it is. I got one for my chainsaw and it seemed to work. So we're going to try this one on this weed eater and bring this thing back to life. I've already tore the whole thing apart and cleaned it really well. It looks like a brand new weed eater really, guys. It's really clean and nice. Just carburetor issues. So let's get to this thing. We got to take the air filter cover off. That's where our air filter is going to go. Now this whole weed eater is basically the same Torx bit, so it's pretty easy to take apart. So to get the carburetor off, the first thing we got to do is remove these 2 bolts right here. Pretty simple procedure to get these carburetors off. Alright, see, we got a ripped gasket. We'll be replacing it with that one. Alright, so that was it, guys, and the carburetor comes off. Now you just have to unhook the fuel lines. There's the vent right there. Pretty simple. Pull that. Pull that. Now you have to unhook the throttle cable. We're going to have to get a, I got a flathead screwdriver there. That might do it. That's how it works. That's the throttle. Pretty simple. Now to get this out, what I'm going to have to do, there we go. See that? I just pulled the trigger and held on to that, and that allowed the little cable to slip right out of the end, the little thing on the end that holds it, the little stop. So that was all that. Now I'll have to get a wrench and we'll unhook the throttle cable itself. And guys, that's all there is to it, and this carburetor is going to come right off. So let me grab a wrench and I'll be right back. Okay, I grabbed a pair of needle nose as well to pull that grommet out. This is going to be a 10mm. Just loosen that up. I'm going to leave the yellow nut on the back, the brass nut, where it's at, to kind of give me a reference when I put the new one on. Try to leave it where it doesn't turn much. There you go, guys. Carburetor's off. This is an exact match. Aftermarket. That's a Zama. I'll be cleaning these up and saving them for parts later if I need them. I also have the one for my chainsaw that I took off. That's a Walbro. So I'll be saving those to rebuild possibly later. Okay guys, we're going to pull this grommet out of this fuel tank. Pretty simple, it's just a rubber grommet. There went everything off the table. There's my 2 fuel lines. This is the actual fuel line with the filter on it that draws the fuel. The other ones are for the priming part of it. Well, I said this was simple, guys. I don't think that grommet was too bad. This weed eater hasn't been used much. So anyway, we've got the new one here. Pretty simple procedure. Again, just slide that down in there. Your new fuel filter. Plug your lines in. And we just gotta, it's a matter of squishing your new grommet down in there. Hopefully I don't knock everything off. I'm probably going to go ahead and pull these fuel lines out of here. They're kind of a pain in the butt to fish back in, but they do allow the grommet to compact a little more. Alright, I gotta drop my screwdriver. I'm gonna try to pop this in with a screwdriver. Just work my way around the edges. The little bottom flange there, it came right back out. Alright, I gotta get my hands on this thing and not let go. It was starting to go in. I found that these flat heads are make this job a little simpler. There, it came right back out. Alright, my screwdriver's a little small. Wish I'd have grabbed a bigger one. I may have to. I had that thing 3/4 of the way in there. Alright, she's going. Afraid if I let go, it's going to come right back out. See, I'm just pushing the bottom edge in and down with that screwdriver. Until we get it down in there. Alright guys, there we go. Alright, so we got that in there. I'm going to pause it while I fish the fuel lines back in. They can be a pain in the butt and take a minute, so I'm not going to make a 50-minute video trying to push these in. But I just take a pair of needle nose and get them real close to the hole. Lick that with your finger or something, get some water on it or whatever, and a little WD-40 if it makes it easier. Just stay real close to the grommet and just push them down in till you get them to your length. Okay guys, this fuel lines ended up being a pain in the butt, and this grommet is really tight, so I went ahead and fished the lines, popped the grommet out and got the lines through it like they were, and then put the grommet back in. So I got a bigger screwdriver, that helps out. Just be careful not to poke real hard. You don't want to poke a hole in your grommet, otherwise you're back to square one. And just work your way around, pushing that grommet back in. Alright, I've got the grommet in there. That's what keeps your fuel in your tank, so you don't want to mess that up. You get to weed eating and turning your weed eater side to side, and you'll have gas leaking out of there. So you want to make sure you get that in there good. Don't poke any holes in it. It's just a little seal. Alright. Next step, we're going to put this carburetor on. We'll get the gasket here. This side goes toward the weed eater. My old gasket go. This gasket, as I can see, it's got that little ridge on there that matches that little slot. So it goes on just like that. Obviously the holes are supposed to line up with that little slot in there like that. So we'll flip that around. We'll get our bolts back through our air cleaner cover, or holder assembly. That'll be the cover. Alright, now our other gasket goes on like so. Obviously We want to make sure we're getting it on correctly. Alright, let me find my other one here. When in doubt, just look it up. I got this schematics for this carburetor, and it doesn't show a gasket between the carburetor and the air cleaner holder, the housing. Just shows the gasket on the back right there. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this one on the front just for a better seal. If it gives me any trouble, we'll remove it. We're not working with this part back, we're just working from this gasket forward. So making sure I got my gasket correctly on the back. I'm going to turn this carburetor around, slide my bolts through, which will hold your gaskets in place. Once you get that, whoop, forgot to put that thing through. There we go. So once you get all that together, like so, we'll slide that back in there, and we'll get that torqued down. We're going to do that gently. We don't want to strip these at all. Of course, they're going to give me some trouble. I'm going to turn it like this. That might help. Just having an issue with lining them up. No biggie. I see the problem. My vent is back there. My little vent, that little white thing was wasn't allowing my carburetor to sit tight. My screw wasn't long enough. A lot of these things work out so nice and easy when you're not trying to film it, and then you try to film it and you have a disaster. Alright, so we got that on. Now, I just need to get my throttle cable back on. Once again, we're just going to pull that forward and slide our brass nut in there. You have to turn that sideways so you can get your cable through it. Like so. Make sure your little weight or your little stop slides into the brass thing. There we go. Alright, so now we're just going to tighten up our silver nut again. Hopefully this stayed relatively in the same spot, or we'll have to adjust it accordingly. Alright, so we got that back on. We'll check the throttle here. Looks like it's good to go. Now, really all that's left, we'll go ahead and hook up the fuel lines before we put all this on. Make it a little easier on ourselves. We have to hook up the primer bulb, hose, and the fuel line. Got to pull these out until you get them to where you need them here. Both a little short. Just be gentle, don't poke a hole or crimp it too tight. Alright, I think we got those set. Alright, so now I'm going to swing this camera to the other side so you can see a little better here. And these needle nose really come in handy with working with these little fuel lines. Just line them up. Get you a little grip about a 1/4 inch back. And just wiggle it. Wiggle the hole on there till you get it started. And then just work your way back and just keep pushing. Alright guys, we had a little issue with the storage. Anyway, my vent and my fuel filter the new ones didn't come with these rings. I'm just going to put them on to preserve originality and just to make sure they don't slip off. I don't think they ever would, but all they are is a little, almost looks like a key ring. Just slide them on your hose. It's just a little insurance. I should have done this before I put the fuel lines in. So we're going to pause it. I'm going to put those on and I'll show you. Just got to wiggle them on there. Alright, so you can see I've got those springs on there now. They just basically expand over top the barb and then contract to give you a little added security to hold those on. So I put them on my vent and my fuel filter. Then we just got to stick that back in there. And then guys, we're going to go get some fuel and fuel this thing up and see if it works. Let's go ahead and get that on real quick. Pretty simple. Slap that on. Of course, I'm sure it's not going to stay. I'm going to have to use 2 hands. Alright. Get this thing on here. There she is. Then we'll put our cap back on. Seal off our air filter. Alright guys, we're going to get some fuel and get this thing going. I shall return in a second. Alright, we got the fuel. I got some. I didn't buy this. I got these cans out of the dumpster at work. Thought they'd come in handy for on-the-go weed eating chainsaws, whatever. I just poured my own pre-mixed gas into it. They are kind of handy. You don't have that big bulky can to mess with. Alright, we got dang near a full tank there. We're going to check out our primer bulb and make sure everything's working. Oh, I see fuel. Alright guys, our primer bulb's full of fuel. Got our lever on cold start. One quick thing I wanted to mention about this weed eater. Kind of a different head than I'm used to. You don't have the bump out one. This line you actually have to cut. It has some gears in here. What it does is you push it through and it locks it and keeps it from pulling out. Kind of a pain in the butt, like that. Push it through till you see it on the other side. A little long yet. Then you just pull it through till you get about to your cutter, like so. See, they won't allow it to pull out. So what you're going to want to do is kind of measure these, get you a decent, measurement, and cut a bunch. Cut your whole thing of it up. Get you a little tube to store them in or something. Stick a few in your pocket while you're weed eating, so you don't have to come back to the shop or the garage to do that every time. You can just pop one in and go. To get them out, if they're all frayed, you just pull them from the inside, like that. That one's a little long yet. That one's about right. That one's about right. Alright, so guys, we're going to go out and see if we can get this thing started and see if this little carburetor fixed this issue. Alright guys, here goes nothing. Guys, it's a good day. So that weed eater retails for $149, and I spent 12 bucks on the carburetor. It was given to me by somebody. Someone left it when they bought the house. Actually gave it to my cousin. Then I traded my cousin a Troy-built weed eater for it that I found a guy at work had that needed fuel lines. I fixed it and it ran, so I traded it for this one because I knew this would probably be a better quality one. And that's been a couple years. I got another Echo, so I've actually got an Echo straight shaft that I use on the Norm. That's just going to be a backup, or so the kids can help. So finally got around to fixing it up, guys. And next we might do another chainsaw. I got an Echo 400 that needs a carb kit put on it. So stay tuned, guys. We got more videos coming up. Hot sauce reviews, boating videos, fishing videos, hot sauce challenges. You name it, I do it. Alright, guys. I'm going to go weed eat. And maybe not. It's not quite growing yet. Later.